In today's MMA news reaction video, I have a lot of things that I want to discuss, starting with two GOATs going at it. Dillon Danis versus Logan Paul. We're also going to brush over the idea of KSI versus Tommy Fury. I also want to talk about this sparring video where Garry broke the rib of Action Man Chris Curtis, and Chris Curtis's ego took hold of him to make him want to make a really stupid decision that I don't understand whatsoever. And then we'll get to these two absolute sauce monsters. It's the sauce showdown between Gordon Ryan and John Jones grappling with each other. We're going to watch through it and I'll give my opinion on it. I don't think anyone's really saying because they're getting a bit carried away with the scrambles that they're watching. Let's start with this, though. The real news. Not because I want more viewer retention, but because it's really important. Dillon Danis is back, guys. We need to talk about this situation. Dillon Danis has returned, and I do think he's going to show up this time. I said that last time for his fight with KSI. But if he doesn't show up to this, he is the son of a millionaire. And there's no other way of describing why someone would make these decisions. He is for sure being guaranteed a decent amount of money here. Probably 500,000, probably 400 maybe. Around that range, we're at least talking under 500,000, but definitely above 200,000 is what I would say that he's being offered here. Now, if he's not a spoiled rich kid, why on earth would he continue to turn down these opportunities? I do think he will take on Logan Paul. Logan Paul recently had an ACL injury. He hasn't boxed in a very long time. Dillon Danis maybe has just kept on his training since that KSI fight was supposed to happen. So now he's actually well, acclimated to the boxing world a bit more and he's feeling himself a bit more. Who knows? But at the end of the day, with this matchup, who knows if Dillon Danis is really going to show up? I guess we'll find out. But what I do want to say is, yeah, Logan Paul's going to win. Dillon Danis chose jiu-jitsu as a life path. That tells you all you need to know about his genetics. Soy, no fast twitch muscle, no muscle insertion, no danger factor with anything that he throws with his hands. Some people just aren't built for striking and will never be able to do it. It's just how it is. Look at Ben Askren. Dude trained striking. He definitely had a kickboxing class once a weekday at least for about 2 decades. Never learned how to throw a punch with any danger factor whatsoever. Some people aren't built for it, and a lot of those people either go into grappling or more specifically, jiu-jitsu. That's what Dillon Danis is. He has nothing for Logan Paul to worry about on the feet. And if it's a short round fight, which I believe it is, Logan Paul has a lot for Dillon Danis to worry about. The only thing that I'd worry about for Logan Paul if I was him was that maybe he would gas out and Dillon Danis, with all that slow twitch muscle fiber, is going to be able to trudge on and put some work in at the very end of the fight or towards the later rounds and try and drown Logan Paul. But if this is a decent rounded fight, which I think it will be, probably about 6 or 4, Logan Paul's got this all day. He's sauced up. He's a big dude. He's been boxing for a while now, and if he's still kept up with training, I think he'll finish Dillon Danis in 1 round and ridicule him. We move on. Quick brush over. KSI, Tommy Fury. I think Tommy Fury's way better than anyone KSI has faced. I think KSI, it's weird that he doesn't get the insults that Jake Paul gets, and this is all I'm going to say about it. People say Jake Paul's fights are rigged. KSI's fights have to be exhibitions because he owns the company that they're fighting under. I don't know if this one has somehow been made a pro fight. I don't know how they did that. I heard there was some rumor of that. But either way, people don't talk about his fights being rigged whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And that's weird. So he doesn't get any backlash for that. And then people call out Jake Paul for fighting old men, but don't consider that those old men are Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, Nate Diaz, combat sports fighters. You know what I mean? Whereas KSI, FaZe Temper, prepubescent Pineda, which, if anything, is the most rigged-looking fight I've ever seen in an influencer boxing match. That dude literally looked like he showed up to try and lose. Either way, he fought, Fournier, who is basically a show boxer. I know you could say the same about Tommy Fury, but he's been boxing from a young age, and he at least had aspirations to be something in boxing. Had a bunch of amateur experience as well. Fournier is a rich kid who was friends with David Haye, who had a few fights against absolute cans and then got a payday in an exhibition fight against David Haye, where David Haye basically just took it easy on him. And even then, KSI elbowed him out cold. Tommy Fury is athletic. He's young. He's actually a boxer. All of those things KSI has never dealt with. Jake Paul never dealt with it until it happened, and we saw what happened there. And I think Tommy Fury's going to be focusing on his career, scooping up these 2 big paydays, and then trying to do something maybe, who knows, with like a Vidal Riley down the line. We're moving on from this into some real stuff that we want to talk about here. This video with Garry, and Chris Curtis training with each other. Now, this was interesting to me. Basically, what you're about to see is Garry, you don't see it, but I'm assuming that he body kicked Chris Curtis and broke his rib. Okay, so I'm actually going to play some audio here, and I hope you guys can hear this because I'm going to listen along as well. And just talk about like the ego of Chris Curtis, and like it just shows no matter how long these guys have been in the game, they do not make correct decisions for their career. They are dumb people in general. So we're going to talk about that right now and play this video through. Let's have a little listen. I hope you guys can hear.
You good?
So you see there, something happened before that happened. And then when Chris Curtis went to defend himself, he felt his rib go. Okay? So I separated my rib. That's a really serious thing to happen. Okay? But what Chris Curtis is eventually going to realize, I don't mind Chris Curtis, by the way. I like Chris Curtis. But stop this mentality, dude. Like, this is why you lose certain fights. You know what I mean? This separates you from the other guys. You don't just listen to what he's about to do. Garry's going to show concern and stop the sparring.
Oh, no. You good? Oh, it's still moving.
He can feel his rib moving around, he's saying. This is Chris Curtis, by the way. Allegedly can feel his rib moving around.
Take a breath. Oh, hold on. I feel it moving. Oh.
He feels it moving. He has to straighten out his body here. Garry checks on it.
I think separate that rib. Give it a sec.
He separated that rib. And now listen to what's going to happen. Basically, what I'm going to show you is Chris Curtis is going to realize a camera's on. Pretty much. Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't do this if the camera wasn't there. But I think a lot of this is to do with the fact that he is training an up-and-coming superstar, Garry. And a camera's on, and it's Garry's social media team, and Garry posted this on social media. So how does Chris Curtis inflate his ego a little bit here?
Oh, give it a breath, bro.
Give it a breath.
Second one I took in was your elbow. No, it like rolled.
He's going to realize, look, Garry's going to say take a break or something.
Take a breath. No.
Look at the frantic. No. Sorry, I realize, hang on, this is on camera and I'm kind of being a bitch. No.
No. Don't be an idiot. No. Come on, bro.
He's like getting aggressive, like, no, come on, let's fight right now. Let's keep fighting. Like, why would you ever do this? He has a fight coming up against Anthony Hernandez in 6 weeks.
I'm going to jump the fuck out of the ring, man. Come on. Listen, it's a rib. I know it's a rib. Listen, Layla, make him fight.
And he starts screaming to Layla, which is the whatever it is of Garry, his mom or something.
You take him.
No, his girlfriend, sorry.
Fight. It's a rib. You're fighting too. It's a rib.
You know what I mean? He's just trying to argue with Garry to let him keep sparring and let him keep fighting. When it's just like, dude, you got to fight in 6 weeks. You're going to keep sparring with Garry with small gloves on when you've just separated your rib in a cage. Like, the tough guy stuff is so dumb to me. Like, you've got to try and consider that maybe you shouldn't be hard sparring still with a broken rib 6 weeks out from a fight. And this is something where you're like, after what we've seen with like people pulling out of fights and, you know, wait until the end until they pull out with an injury and then a certain guy just doesn't even get paid. This is the sort of stuff where you're like, if you're Anthony Hernandez right now, it's like, dude, this is unfair to him. Knowing that a guy has injured himself in the gym and he might make it, who knows, but he's still looking to spar heavy even though he hurt his rib. Like, it's like, this is the sort of thing that's going to put worry in an opponent's mind. And this is the sort of stuff where when fighters are dumb like this, they end up costing their opponent money by not letting them be able to fight. Or the opponent has to take a big risk like JDM had to do against Basil Hafez. JDM had some of the most hype in the welterweight division. He got dealt a bad card of a short notice replacement opponent that could wrestle. And then all of a sudden, all of his hype's gone. This costs the opponent with this type of mentality.
Listen to me. I got 6 weeks. Listen to me. No, I know you got 6 weeks. Buddy, come on. No, come on. Finish your round.
You say, come on, finish the round. And Garry's like, no, I'm not going to do that. You need to take a break. Smart of Garry. Shows the difference in mindset between them as to why one of them is undefeated and the other one has got a ton of losses on their record. It's just one of those weird glimpses into the gym where you can really see the difference in mindset, you know? And Ian Garry then goes, this is why you're not in the top 5. This is the difference. If you actually take this day off and go and check out that rib, this will change. And this is why you're not in the top 15 and you should be in the top 5. And starts giving him a bit of a speech. We move on to this. Flow grappling from Jon Jones and Gordon Ryan. This was very interesting to see. I did not expect to see this when I woke up today. But here we go. Let's have a little look through. I'm going to see what happens here. Gordon Ryan, of course, the GOAT of BJJ. And then you've got, well, I'm not going to say the GOAT, but right, he's the best in the world right now in his era. Okay, because I know people are going to say, Gracie, or something like that. But either way, Jon Jones, Gordon Ryan. Hand fighting. Jones does a little fake of a takedown. Ryan reacts to it. Just minorly, though. Back to hand fighting. Over-unders. And Jones hits the sweep. Takes down Gordon Ryan. And look how quickly Gordon Ryan gets back up here. By the way, I know he's a sauced-up big guy himself. I think he's 6'2". On the sauce, just like Jones. I mean, Jones and him just sort of grappling together and sweating together is probably going to create a new variant of sauce. You know what I'm saying? They're going to create Torino Bowl 2.0 or something here. Either way, though, Zeus over here is going to just immediately get back up from this against a heavyweight Jon Jones, which is crazy. Scoots his hips out to his base and gets into the north-south position. And then Jones continues the takedown, but Gordon Ryan rolls all the way around again. Back onto top position here. And then Jones can escape and get the back of Gordon Ryan. And Gordon Ryan's going to have to Granby roll out of it and end up back on his feet. And that's all we see. Now, one thing I do want to mention this, and when I give my opinion on this, people are getting crazy, easy for bones, you know, the skill level and all this. Habib will mop the floor with both of them. This guy, Jesus Christ. Shows how insanely good Jon Jones is. I want to be real with you guys. When you take away the idea of finishing someone by submission, grappling becomes a very different art, okay? Very, very different art. It immediately favors the wrestler. These guys are not fighting to triangle each other or to rear naked choke each other or to get each other's back. They're just doing a bit of grappling with each other. A bit of a flow grappling. Let's wrestle a little bit. And Jones is the better wrestler. So he's going to win positional control. He's going to make Gordon Ryan have to scramble out of bad positions. He's going to get a takedown on Gordon Ryan. He's going to win overall in the scramble. But if you start putting this in a no time limit submission match, eventually Jones is going to have to like become stationary on top of Gordon Ryan. You know what I'm saying? He can't just scramble with him for non-stop. Maybe he can, and maybe that's his plan if they were to compete in grappling, to where he'd have to gas out Gordon Ryan and then start working towards something. But if this was like a submission match and Jones wasn't able to infinitely scramble and just had to like go for something and had to progress towards a submission and had an aim of getting a submission or getting like dominant position over somewhere, Gordon Ryan would win this all the time. Like every single time he would win if the objective was to eventually submit each other. But these two are just having a bit of flow grappling. So it's good to see. Cool to see. Good to see a guy just sort of get back up from a Jones takedown. You know what I mean? Since he's moved up to heavyweight after what he did to Cyril Gane, I guess it just shows how bad some of that heavyweight grappling is. But it's good to see a guy of Gordon Ryan's caliber just sort of scoot himself out from underneath Jon Jones, get his hips to safety, and then even reverse a takedown of Jon Jones afterwards. But you can see in the middle of it, even when Jones is going for his takedown, I'm going to mute it for the second playthrough, they're playing around. Gordon Ryan's already sweaty beyond belief. So he's probably just done a whole training session, and then Jones has walked in and said, hey, you want to fool around a bit and maybe we can post it on social media, you know? So they're playing around, and you can even see when Jones goes for the takedown, he's smiling, knowing that Gordon Ryan's going to reverse it. So Gordon Ryan immediately gets out of this takedown from Jon Jones. But watch Jon Jones here. Grabs the takedown, smiling. I don't think because he's like having fun taking down Gordon Ryan. I think it's because he knows, here we go for a roll. We're about to scramble here. Gordon Ryan's going to hit a reversal. And he's still smiling as he hits the floor. So don't take this too seriously. This is called flow grappling, where they're just showing off a couple scrambles for the Instagram. And this wouldn't happen in a real grappling match. But even still, cool to watch. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. And goodbye.